So there were a couple of other fatalities associated with St. Michael's. Besides, you will have heard of the boy who came off his motorbike, 16-year-old boy. I think his name was Roger, and it was quite a long time ago. Just going to pause and correct well, not. I'm about to say that I think it was in the 1960s. It was in the 1970s. I think it was 1979. And his name was Roger Jones, and I'll show you a quick picture of him actually. Oops, hold on. Oh no, I can't, because oh no, I can. Silly me. There we go. That's Roger Jones, who was 16. I think it was 1979. No, no, but are we starting again now? Came off his motorbike, 16-year-old boy. I think his name was Roger. I'm having a bit of a mare today, I'm not going to lie, so my apologies. I think this might go a bit sideways, so please just forgive me, please. And it was quite a long time ago. I want to say the 1960s, but I'm not sure exactly. But it was a long time ago, and most people have heard about that case because that was kind of spoken about at first. And there was actually an explosion, I believe, in St. Michael's at one point, and that was a really long. Yeah, I'm really going to get this wrong, really, really wrong. It was actually 30 years ago, approximately 1984, and it was in, I think it's called Abbey Mead Station. Right, I am going to have to look. It's 30 years since the blast forever. This isn't what I'm about to tell you about anyway, but I'm going to tell you this anyway in case you haven't heard it. You probably already have, because I think somebody's mentioned it on YouTube in relation to St. Michael's before. But anywho, it's 30 years since the blast forever changed the lives of those in St. Michael's on Wire. Water officials had taken people on a tour of Abbey Stead Station north of the village to convince them it wasn't responsible for flooding. It isn't responsible for one disaster, but we're about to have another disaster. Oh my God, 16 died. That's horrendous. Right. Oh, but these two fatalities, one of them occurred in St. Michael's, and one of them occurred to somebody from St. Michael's. So on the right, or is it your left now? I don't know. The guy, that's Ian Hamilton, and his fatality occurred in St. Michael's, but only just on the way out of St. Michael's, basically. And the building next to Ian is not related to him. That's related to Joanne Louise Halliwell of Allotment Lane, and that is Lancaster Grammar School for girls, and that's where Joanne had just finished. She just completed her exams, and the rest you'll find out as we go along. So I believe I have the information on Ian first. So Ian was a father of 4 children. He was from Forward, which is near Preston, and he came off his motorbike on the 15th of January 2022, so almost a year before Nicola went missing. But the circumstances of it are unclear. Well, that's how it was left basically, but I think it seems relatively clear to me if we carry on. An inquest has failed to shed light on why a competent and confident motorcyclist suffered a fatal crash. So he wasn't one of these motorcyclists who rides ultra fast or dangerously. He was a careful, considered rider, and he wasn't a high risk taker, and there was no other vehicle involved in the crash. So there was an eyewitness. Well, there were two eyewitnesses, Andrew Figg and his passenger. And Andrew Figg was travelling in the opposite direction. And he told the coroner how he saw Mr. Hamilton's bike just drop as it was coming around a bend. Mr. Hamilton was travelling on the A586 Garstang Road. Yeah, I'm just about to get this wrong as well. So I have had two. I'm having to correct myself again. This is horrendous. Yeah, so I was thinking Garstang Road. Garstang was the opposite direction. But here we go. Let's get back to St. Michael's. There's St. Michael's. Now, if you travel this way, if you keep going, you end up at Fleetwood. But if you go this way, you're going towards Garstang. And I knew that, but my brain did something weird and made me forget. So I don't know which bend it is. So supposedly it's a right-hand bend. I'm wondering if it's this one, which is that called Bend Lane? Is that Band Lane? I'm wondering if it's that one, because it's not a sharp right-hand bend, but it's yeah, I can't remember, gentle, I think they said, right-hand bend. So it's not going to be that one. And also they said, there's no other cars, so I think that would be a little bit busier there. So it could be that one. Could be another. I guess it could be that one. Could even be that one. I don't know if you'd count it. That is very gentle bend. So yeah, Hamilton House Farm. I don't think it's any relation to him though. So yeah, possibly that one. Possibly that bend. But I haven't seen it pointed out in a. Actually, I haven't looked for a video, so maybe I will have a look for a video. But for now, we're just going to have to guess, I'm afraid, and carry on. So, where am I going now? It's a bit of a cock-up city today. He went round a quite gentle right-hand bend, lost control and left the carriageway. It was a road he'd driven on many times, and the conditions were described as fine and sunny. I suppose it can be icy, black ice, but there's no mention of black ice in this, and I'm sure if there'd been black ice, they would have blamed it on the black ice, so I'm going to assume there wasn't. Mr. Figg said there was no traffic. I could see a bike coming round the bend. I mentioned to my passenger that it was leaning over quite a lot, and then it seemed to just drop. I didn't see it deviate. I didn't notice anything untoward. He said he didn't believe the bike was speeding, adding, it was very odd. It seemed to be coming round the bend quite smoothly, but then leaned left and went down. Leaned left. Now, he wouldn't lean left going around that bend, would he? If he's going out, he'd lean. Right, hang on here, because I'm still talking about the other direction. So let's have a look. Would you? Yeah, you would lean. You lean left, wouldn't you? Yeah. So just ignore me, because I was talking about going the opposite way at this point. I've been right, so it must be a different bend. Mr. Figg and his colleagues, who are, unless you leant in the wrong direction, Mr. Figg and his colleague, who are both gardeners, stopped at the scene where Mr. Hamilton was taking his helmet off. Mr. Figg described Mr. Hamilton as shocked but chatting and was able to give his name. It's quite surprising, isn't it, that he could be so articulate and seemingly coherent, and then sadly he died, and I think it was the same day. Although Mr. Hamilton was able to talk, he didn't explain what had happened, and then the care was taken over by a passing off-duty nurse and her husband before an ambulance arrived. PC Bernard Williams, a collision investigator for Lancashire Police, also gave evidence at the inquest. He said there were no faults with the vehicle and the road surface was dry with no contamination, so no black ice, and had the expected level of grip. He did say that there were two, here we go, quite large potholes in the road near to the centre of the lane, but not on a line we'd expect a motorcyclist to take. That sounds odd to me because the centre of the lane is where I would expect a motorcyclist to be riding. I mean, I guess when they go around the bend, that might change a bit, but that sounds like they're having a very narrow idea of where his bike should be within that lane. I mean, they're within the lane, and there are two potholes within the lane, so I would have thought that there's a chance that he hit the potholes. He added, "There's no evidence at all a motorbike had been in contact with them. To be fair, I hit a pothole very recently, just about to take my son to the dentist. Already missed one dentist appointment because and had completely forgotten about it and was already in trouble for that. And then we hit a pothole, and because a rubbish truck was coming the opposite direction and basically hogged the road, and I instantly got a flat tire. But you could just clip it, and would you be able to tell? Apparently he thinks you would. So there's no evidence at all. A motorbike had been in contact with them, lost control because of them, or served to avoid them." If the bike had hit them, I wouldn't have expected him to get round the bend at all. But also it just clipped them. PC Williams also said there were no scrape marks around or near to the potholes. It just clipped them again. Would there be? When asked about the road being gravelly by family members, PC Williams agreed that it was gravelly on the approach to the bend, but if the bike hit a stone and had slipped away, I'd expect to see some marks on it. Well, I would imagine there's got to be a couple of marks on it. The bike must have hit the floor. Would you really? What if the bike scraped the floor where the stone had hit? So then you won't see where the stone had hit because it's then scraped the floor. Sounds like somebody's trying to wriggle out of it. This sounds very familiar. It just sounds like it just stinks of not wanting to take responsibility. The court heard that there was no suggestion Mr. Hamilton was in ill health when he set off on the journey. Coroner Richard Taylor said there doesn't seem any reason for the apparent loss of control, and I'm sorry for that. He concluded the death was a road traffic collision. No shit, Sherlock. So, yeah, it just sounds like they they haven't taken responsibility for something that probably I would have thought. What do you think? I really like to know what you think in the comments, because there's two big potholes. It just feels like it doesn't take a rocket scientist. But that family were just devastated. I mean, devastated anyway, and then double devastated. Right, okay. And the second fatality. No, we'll go this way. This occurred in 2002, and the girl that I mentioned, Joanne Louise Halliwell, was found dead in a hotel room in Blackpool. So she's an 18-year-old girl, and her body was discovered at 5 a.m., I think. Joanne Louise Halliwell of Allotment Lane, who had just finished her exams at Lancaster Girls' Grammar School. Paramedics were called to the hotel in Hornby Road, Blackpool, which has not been named, at around 5 a.m. We wouldn't want them to lose business. At around 5 a.m. on Sunday, where the young woman was found to be lifeless. Oh, how horrific. She was pronounced dead after being taken to Blackpool Victoria Hospital. A 26-year-old man was arrested at the scene, questioned by police and released on bail. An inquest into the cause of Joanna's death was opened and adjourned in Blackpool yesterday, and the results, so they've had an inquest, but they haven't got the results of the post. Or if you, I don't think, hang on, and the results of the Home Office pathologist's post-mortem were described as inconclusive, but I feel like they said something else later on that made me question. No, hold on. Let me. Oh, right. Put your teeth in. A spokesperson for Lancashire Police Headquarters said, "We have arrested a man and we suspect drugs may be involved, but we don't think it's ecstasy at this stage." Later, Detective Inspector Pat Gill of Blackpool Police, who is conducting the investigation, could not confirm that Joanne's death was linked to drug abuse, but said he was awaiting the results of toxicology tests. So I don't know, why would they have the inquest before they've got the toxicology results? That sounds mad. Wait for the toxicology results, then have the inquest. Secretary of the Blackpool Hotel and Guest House Association, Josie Hammond, guess what she's got to say? So she says she didn't know of Joanne's death, which is hardly surprising because literally this is the only newspaper, Lancashire Telegraph, that I've seen it in, and I've only seen 2 or maybe 3 articles on it, and there's no update on this. It's just, I find it baffling that there's no more than this. Just going to interrupt myself. There's also no picture of her in any of the articles. So now I'm going to continue and let myself carry on. And a girl's died, and this is it. This is all that's in the public domain. It just doesn't seem right. She added that no one could deny that drugs were available in Blackpool, but this unfortunate incident should have no reflection on the guest houses and hotels of Hornby Road, which is one of the most popular and established areas in Blackpool, she said. That's just staggering. It's just appalling that she's worried about business. An 18-year-old girl has died. She's just written her off as a druggie or something because it's possibly connected to drugs. Neighbours and residents in St Michael's were too distressed to talk about the tragic news. Wow. They're damned if they do and damned if they don't in St Michael's, though. It's poor Emma White. She's talked too much. Everybody, no, she's spoken too much, and then everybody else hasn't spoken enough. Why aren't they talking? Why aren't they talking? That's why they're not talking, because they know what happens if you talk. Anyway, I won't go into that one. But please don't. Let's focus on this and not get into a big debate about Emma White, which seems to be a hot topic at the moment. But it is a shame. People are not going to want to come forward if they're going to be demonised if they do. And this wouldn't happen to a guy. It just wouldn't. Women end up being scapegoats for this sort of thing. Happens way too much. It's like Meghan Markle's getting a break, isn't she? Right, anyway. I said I wasn't going to be too opinionated, so I'll leave it at that. But anyway, I'm interested to know what you think about these two fatalities, particularly. So, what do you think about Pothole Gate? Oh, and there is more to Pothole Gate as well, because I might follow it up in another video, because Andrew Snowden he promised loads of cash to get rid of all the potholes. Is this it? Oh, so this is 22nd of March 2023, so very up to date. Pothole shame. Lancashire named one of the UK's pothole capitals. Over 67,000, imagine counting all these, 67,493 potholes reported in 2022, right? But then, new cash and common sense to fix potholes in trains. This is in 2021, I think. He was the MP for Chorley, and this is when this is before he became the Crime Commissioner, I think. Oh no, he'd just become the Crime Commissioner. Since the Conservatives won control of Lancashire County Council in May, they have wasted no time in getting their manifesto from being ink on paper to buses on roads, books, libraries and tarmac in potholes. Aren't they doing a great job? The Conservatives in Lancashire have announced an extra 5.6 million a year for fixing the basics. This will focus on fixing potholes, clearing drains more regularly and cutting the grass verges and spraying pavements for weeds more frequently. There will be an injection of some common sense as well as cash into this by making... What's he been doing with the money? That's what I want to know. So this doesn't bode well, does it? Because he was given he secured £17 million, 7 million, sorry, not 17 million, £7 million for domestic violence. And if he can't put the money into the potholes, has he put the money into domestic violence? What's he doing with this money? Now I'm going to leave it there, to be honest, because I'm going to getting a bit overexcited. So he stopped the ridiculous situation of one pothole being filled and another. And he bought some big contraption and expensive. I think he likes a bit of tech. I think they just completely relied on drones and the cell phone analysis to try and Oh God, they couldn't rely on CCTV, could they? To rely on it to solve, to find out what happened to Nicola Bullard, because you don't really see that many people actually searching. They've just got drones up in the sky, and they're relying on that, I think. And he's relied on this. Let's see if I can find it. There it is. Oh, here we go. This machine, a spray injection machine. So they probably spent a fortune on this, but Lancashire is still in 2023 named one of the UK's pothole capitals. What the hell? Please tell me what you think in the comments. Look forward to hearing from you. Look forward to hearing what you think. Have a lovely evening, one and all, and more to come probably tomorrow.